The objective behind all of this is to just bring this into the industry and do something that hasn't been done. We've seen a lot of celebrities that have been going through something like this, but you're not seeing the everyday man getting the opportunity to do this. And so hopefully by doing this, we'll be able to really show the whole entire process of what's going on. That's just one thing that you don't see. You don't see the interviews beforehand like right now. You don't see the aftermath. I am here to get put under anesthesia. I am going to go under and get tattooed for as many hours as I can possibly go for. Getting worked on by 3 artists at the same time, from the top of my shoulder down to the bottom of my butt cheek. So once I'm out, there's not really much else I need to do other than lay there and let it happen. So yeah, let's go.
So there's a lot of medications we can use to give anesthesia. The biggest one that we used for Chase to keep him asleep is called propofol. A lot of people are familiar with propofol because its nickname is the Michael Jackson drug. It's a medication that, I don't know if we want to include this in the documentary, but it was a medication that he was being given by his cardiologist. Oh God, I don't know if I want to call them out. Propofol is what I use to keep Chase asleep throughout the procedure. Some ketamine as well. Ketamine is an awesome drug for a couple different reasons. I used it for some pain control, and then a paralytic or a muscle relaxer to get him totally relaxed so that we could flip him over safely and he wasn't trying to help us. Pain is not just something that you feel when you're awake. It's also kind of reflexive. Like if you happen to touch a hot stove, your body's gonna recoil before you even register that it's hot or that it hurts. So you still have these reflexes even under anesthesia. These are like primitive brain reflexes, if that makes sense. So under anesthesia, you put the conscious brain to sleep, but you still have to treat your reflexive response to pain. When we're doing anesthesia in a tattoo shop environment, we don't have the luxury of things like oxygen piped into the walls for us or suction being readily available. We have to bring all of that in with us. And it's not just one oxygen source. We have to have a backup because God forbid something go wrong. We have to be able to support this person and keep them alive, worst case scenario, until paramedics can arrive. For this session, we had about 6 contingency plans. Well, if this happens, then this is our backup plan. If we can't do that backup plan, then this is our next plan, which is kind of part of the anesthesia game as well. You always have a plan A, B, and C. Worst case scenario would have been some catastrophic event when we initiate anesthesia. When we push the anesthesia drugs, we're monitoring for things like allergic reactions. There are other crazy things that can happen, like you can have a blood clot. Specifically, a blood clot in your lungs is absolutely catastrophic, which is why selecting the right clients for this anesthesia outside of a medical setting is so important. We pre-screen all of our clients, make sure that they're healthy enough, but then they actually need to have a physical
I talked to a nurse practitioner that took me through a health analysis to make sure that I was healthy enough to even go through something like this, make sure that my body could handle it. And then Jess also had a conversation with me, the process and anesthesia, and I've actually learned a lot. I've been put under before for surgeries, but I was never explained what was happening within my body when I'm getting put under. So there was a lot of prep work involved in that way to make sure that I was ready to go for this.
For the duration of the tattoo, I'm monitoring Chase's vital signs, which means I'm looking at his EKG, which is his heart rhythm. It's the actual electricity in his heart. I want to check that against his baseline, what that normally looks like for him, and make sure that the stress of having the tattoo under anesthesia doesn't change the electricity in his heart. Because even though he's under anesthesia, he's still responding to pain. So I'll watch his heart rate, and if that goes up and his blood pressure comes up at about the same time, then I know that he's feeling a little bit of pain. So I give him something through his IV to help control that. Our goal for Chase was to give him about 6 hours of anesthesia time. Around hour 7 is when he started having a increased blood pressure, increased heart rate that was getting a little bit harder to treat. We repositioned and then got 10 hours basically out of him. So I'm really stoked with what we were able to do for him.
Can you give me a big cough? That was pathetic. You doing okay? Okay. You feel like you're ready to sit up at all? You think you can stand? Oh yeah, okay.
I want to give huge props to Jess and Tessa because one of my worries going into this was how my body was going to feel after, not the tattoo, my actual body of laying in a prone position, unable to move myself. That's what I was worried about. When you get tattooed, you get to walk up, move around, you can move your arms, move your legs, stretch your back, do all of the things that you need to do. I wasn't able to do that, and so somebody had to do that for me.
Being in a prone state where you're on your stomach, it can be tricky because there's appendages and different things that aren't meant to be in that state for a long time. So we made a valiant effort to make sure that we changed things ever so slightly so that he wasn't in that same exact position so he could be as comfortable as possible. having a breathing tube in, we have to make sure that we keep, you know, his head and neck stable, but also making sure that we give him position changes so that he's not in one position for so long. So we improvised a lot with, what did we use? We used memory foam mattress cover to help position his arms, and then also with his head to make sure that, you know, his head was in a good place, but also so that we could turn his head.
Chest up. Here, I want you to look up at the sky. There you go. Keep your chest up.
Let your feet come.
Yep, gotta bring your feet with you. You gotta bring your feet with you.
Give me some legs.
No, you gotta stand up, Chase. Overall, I'm really happy with how everything turned out. I'm really happy with how well Chase did.
How you feeling?
Good?
Good. What time of day do you think it is?
To be honest with you, I was a little bit nervous just because of the setting. I have been in a medical setting for most of my career, meaning a hospital or something. So not having people at my beck and call was a little bit nerve-wracking. But knowing the caliber of Jess, and not only provider but human that she is, I felt safe. And relying on my background as well, like I am confident in my abilities. Been a nurse for a long time. But from a lay person or someone who has actually been tattooed several times, I thought it was freaking cool.
Hold on.
You're done.
Wow.
Yeah. You open your eyes. There you go. That'll help get you reoriented, okay?
Does it look sick?
It looks sick. From an anesthesia standpoint, I can discharge. So, should we get clothes? Are they?
Come on, Superman.
There we go.
You know, I was in a very vulnerable state during that time. Like when you're coming out of anesthesia, I was an infant basically. I had no control over anything of my own. I had somebody else taking care of me, and so that is a very vulnerable state, and I was lucky in that sense. So something to keep in mind if you're considering doing this, just make sure that you're ready for that vulnerable state, because you may not know your artist very well. They may be world-renowned artists that you want to get tattooed by, so they're all coming together to tattoo you, and you may not know them on a personal level. You may not know the nurse anesthetist that is going to be putting you under.
A vital piece to this is having the right people. There's a huge amount of trust on everybody's front, and I think that's a really cool piece that we have incorporated. Knowing your crew is a big part. A lot of people are going to come into this space and say, I want this tattoo, hire this team for me. You need to do your research. As far as I'm concerned, putting your life in somebody's hands in a sense of take care of me while I can't take care of myself is a big responsibility. And if this is something that people want to replicate, it's not an easy thing to do, and you need to make sure you have all the right pieces.
I chose the tattoo artist that I did mainly because I'm just really good friends with them and I trust them fully.
Chase was able to go into this with a sense of confidence, knowing everybody in this room actually cares about me.
Between Mitch, Buck, and Ava, I felt really comfortable and confident in not just them as people, but their artistic ability as well to really bring this project together.
I met Chase through my buddy Mitch Anderson, who's also going to be collaborating on this project. He and I have done a handful of projects together on shared clients and on one another.
We're in a lucky situation where we have all kind of worked together before. We know each other. That makes everything so much easier.
Do you guys want to elaborate a little bit how you know each other and how long you guys have been working together?
Well, I'm his kid, so automatically I just...
We met at a bar fight.
Yep.
The ironic thing about he and I, while we did end up working together, it was actually an event just before that. It was the first time I'd ever set foot in anything like that. I was absolutely terrified, completely out of my element, just looking for any semblance of acceptance. And my booth happened to be right down from his booth. I needed trash bags to line my trash cans. He had a case of trash bags sitting on a chair in front of his station. So I walk up and I'm like, hey man, can I steal one of these trash can liners? And without even looking at my face, he just screams like, fuck off! That was my first introduction to this guy. And 9 years later, yeah, I'm referring to him as the creative stepfather to my child. So it's been a weird 9 years, to say the least.
I love that story. And the fun part is I don't even remember that actually happening the first time that we met, so.
Such a regular asshole that being an asshole doesn't even show up on his radar.
I'm not like genuinely mean. I think once you slowly start to see that, that's the only.
Says every dictator in history.
There's no way of saying that and not sound like a fucking arrogant asshole.
Definitely missed the toilet a little bit as I was peeing, for sure. My internal clock is really weird to where I don't ever set an alarm. My body just wakes me up. I haven't used an alarm in years, and this was actually no different. So even after everything that I had gone through, I still woke up at 6 a.m., I'm pretty sure.
How you feeling, dude?
Feeling good, man. Loopy as fuck, but good.
Do you remember texting me about wanting some noodles at 1:30 in the morning?
I remember texting you about that. The point that I remember talking to you was you were sitting up here on the couch and talking to me.
Is that the only thing you remember from last night? Is just me talking to you from the couch?
Only thing.
Man.
Was the experience scary at all?
No.
Good. I would have thought less if you said yes. I know the most important thing to you in life is my opinion of you.
Dude, your coming out of anesthesia laugh is going to be my new ringtone. You asked how far we got on your back, I'd probably say 10 times.
How long did we end up going for?
So
you got about 24 hours of needle time on you. Between me, Buck, and Ava, you got about 24 hours of needle time.
8 solid hours each of tattooing.
Did we finish the back?
We got needle time about 8 hours in you.
Nice. You said there's still work on the back?
Some things got completed almost entirely, some things got mostly completed, and some things got blocked in. But for the general state of your whole back, we got a fuck ton done.
No surprise, Ava kicked the most ass today.
Yeah?
Hell
yeah.
Ava did the rat on the tombstone, and it turned out flawless.
How did Ava do?
Ava did the best.
Really? Ava, what did you think?
Did I say anything funny on Anesthesia?
Oh, you were just...
Fuck yourself.
What do you mean? All right.
I saw the pictures. It looks fucking awesome.
Oh, awesome. Cool.
Yeah, I remember looking at the design, and because I couldn't tell what I was looking at because I was so loopy, I was like, I hate it.
So how's your back feeling overall today? Like, does it feel like a sunburn?
Dude,
like
that's exactly
tattoo?
it. Like, yeah, it's last night it felt like a heating pad on my back was what it was, but even this morning it's like a normal tattoo.
10 out of 10 would do it again as of right now.
Okay, water's right here on the nightstand right next to you, and then I'm trying not to eat all of your crackers.
All right, you guys can get out of here. I appreciate you.
Thanks.
Kicking me out.
Get the fuck out.
I'm feeling great. Did not expect this. Like, I wasn't worried about going under. I wasn't worried about really anything else. I was worried about the healing process. And obviously it's only day 1, but so far, like, it's not bad. I will say that I have had surgeries before, and I know that I do well with anesthesia, and not everybody is going to be that way, so not everybody is going to have the exact same experience as me, but honestly, like 10 out of 10 would recommend. I currently have a wrap on my back. It's a breathable wrap that helps it heal, and underneath that is a pad. Because we did so much work across my back and there's so much saturation there, naturally plasma and blood leaks out, and so that pad is there to catch it. After 2 days of having the wrap and the pad on there, we're going to go ahead and remove that and then replace the wrap and not add the pad. So there will just be a wrap on my back, and I'm gonna leave that on for as long as I can. If I didn't have that wrap on my back, we would have a whole different experience. I wouldn't be wearing the shirt that I'm wearing because I would ruin clothes, I would ruin bed sheets.
All the effects that he's feeling now, the way I took that wrap off, the way he felt in the morning, the sunburn, that would have been standard with a normal tattoo. The actual 23 hours of needle time, scot-free, is fucking amazing.
One thing that you gotta think about is when you're getting tattooed, that's where the pain is coming from. But as soon as that artist stops, it's a relief. It's no longer painful at that point. And then the next day, there's still a little bit of pain there. It might feel like a sunburn. That's pretty much exactly what I'm going through. It's not retroactive. It's not like because I couldn't feel it, it built up and then all of a sudden it just smacked me all at once. That's not how it worked. It's literally the tattoo was done and now I'm just healing a tattoo like I naturally would. So today is January 17th, so 10 days ago I was tattooed under anesthesia on January 7th. Now we're basically through the healing process for the most part. The date today is January 22nd, so we are a day and 2 weeks over me getting tattooed, and yeah, my tattoo's basically healed. I'm now spoiled. I didn't feel my tattoo, and so now I don't ever want to feel a tattoo again. That's just me personally. I'm not one for the pain, and so I was really hoping that everybody would be on board to do this a second go around, and I had to approach everybody. I had to approach the artist, the anesthesia team, because this is a group effort. It's not just me going through this. It's a group of people that are all coming together to make it happen, and so everybody was definitely on board, and for me, I was stoked on that. We're gonna wait a little over a month to do the second session, make sure that it's all the way healed up, and that is going to be happening on February 18th, so I'm excited to go under again. It, for me, was a breeze the first time. I'm hoping that it's going to be a breeze the second time, but that's what gets me most excited, is to go through it twice and be able to actually compare what the differences were between the first session and the second session, to be able to say that you got from the shoulders all the way down to the bottom of your butt cheeks done in 2 sessions. That's pretty cool, and the fact that I didn't have to feel it at all is awesome. So going under twice in that period of time, I'm interested to see what that does to my body and how I react to it.
So I think some people have some misconceptions about anesthesia, like how many times you can undergo anesthesia. If you are healthy enough for this procedure, there's no such thing as having anesthesia too many times. And granted, we don't want to give anesthesia to everyone every day of their life. But really the people that we worry about are kids less than the age of 2, or once you are a little bit older. Usually around age 65, we start to worry about you a little bit. Anesthesia is among one of the safest medical professions that there are. And anesthesia itself is not a sterile procedure. We do anesthesia in all sorts of settings. The cost of our malpractice insurance is often an indicator of how risky it is. And anesthesia malpractice as a whole is fairly cheap. You are more at risk getting in a car and driving to your tattoo shop in the morning than you are undergoing anesthesia. My goal when I went into nursing school was not to end up giving anesthesia. I actually didn't even know it was a thing. I was a young single mom and I needed a career, so I ended up in nursing school kind of by luck, out of chance. It ended up being a great career for me. I worked mostly neonatal ICU and some military training for almost 10 years before I went to anesthesia school. In the military, I met a nurse anesthetist who was deployed to Thailand during a typhoon. They needed amputations and broken bones set, and there were so many injuries and so many people that needed care that they actually ran out of propofol. So they were trying to figure out the best way to provide good care for these people, and they found Everclear, like the alcohol, and they were injecting IV Everclear to help people with amputations. And I thought that was amazing and badass, and I wanted to do that too. So I figured out how to become a nurse anesthetist. You go through anesthesia school. Most of the programs now are about 3.5 years to get through. When I was in anesthesia school, I had about a year to go, and my youngest sister passed away. She was the passenger in a car, not wearing a seatbelt, and was T-boned on her way to pet puppies on her birthday. This is my sister, and she was Buck Harvey's client as well. We were in the ICU doing organ donation and trying to decide how best to memorialize her. So this is my tattoo piece. Buck had done this and I added to it along the way. When I was in Buck's chair as his client with my anesthesia background, I'm like, why the hell am I doing this without anesthesia? I was talking to Buck about it, and he was like, actually, that's a great idea. Let me introduce you to this guy named Chase.
He introduced us, and that's kind of how this whole thing started.
I tried to figure out if this was a viable business option, and here we are.
Honestly, I mean, I love tattoos, I love medicine, I love all the things, and it's kind of just snowballed into this thing, and I'm super excited to be a part of it.
So it was all because of my sister, Marissa.
I don't know where tattoos were actually introduced to me for the first time. I grew up LDS, or as a lot of people know them as Mormons. Tattoos were definitely frowned upon, and I mean, frowned upon is light. Tattoos were very looked down on, like you were a degenerate if you got a tattoo. And so the percentage of Mormons in Utah has gone down significantly, but Utah is a very interesting culture in the sense that you do have predominantly Mormon families. I think one reason why the tattoo industry has thrived like it has is because you get kids like me who are just rebelling against their parents, and when you rebel hard. And when your parents tell you not to do something, you just rebel that much harder. And so the kids that were rebelling are the ones that are becoming tattoo artists. The counterculture of tattoos in Utah is what has made them so widely acceptable. Whether you consider that a good or a bad thing, it's just a concentration of a bunch of people that just want to live their lives outside of the oppression of the Mormon religion, honestly.
Gonna be cold.
Okay, we're going in.
Okay.
You got your head up so you're not cold?
No, it's.
Bend your elbow.
Oh.
There you go. Ready, push. There you go.
Lean forward a little bit. Okay, relax for a minute.
I can walk.
Bend. Okay, I just want you to sit here and dangle for a minute.
Okay.
Can I get your shoes? You like triple knot your shoes.
I do. I like them tight.
What is wrong with you?
I get cold.
Put your heel in.
This one's harder. It's almost there.
That's what she said.
Hell yeah. And I go too fast and kill the moment.
The whole entire experience is fucking phenomenal. I mean, going to sleep and waking up with a massive tattoo from 3 phenomenal artists. Like, the way that I am as a person is I really like to just experience everything. I like to have the story behind it, being a part of something like this and documenting the whole entire experience and the healing process, and being able to now look back on this, like, that is just a really cool thing for me. And not even just for myself, but, you know, for my daughter later down the line, it's really cool that she's gonna be able to watch this years later and be like, wow, my dad really went through something cool and was a pioneer of something that was really new to the industry. So that's really all the reasons why I decided to go through this and make this happen.
The actual whole experience of tattooing him under anesthesia was probably one of the coolest things I've ever done.
I don't think that I would personally have the balls to go under to get tattooed like this.
Even though we got, 98% done, I'm super happy with that because we didn't overexhaust ourselves, we didn't make mistakes, we didn't rush anything.
Our abilities are just simply at the mercy of the anesthesiologist and the amount of time that they're able to keep Chase under.
Now, if it was a scenario, if he's flying in from Australia and I can't see you again for another year, I would feel terrible. But we're tattooing a guy that works at my shop and we can get him back in pretty quickly. It's not like we don't have to line up flights or select dates in the future, months out kind of stuff.
What we have left is just a little piece on the back and then some border around the outside just to help it mesh up with the rest of my tattoos. I'm not gonna go under for that. I'm just gonna finish it out the traditional way. We already have plans. I have my appointment on the books with Buck. We're probably about 4 hours worth of tattoo time left in order to complete it out. People don't even know when I show them that it was done by 3 separate artists, so that shows how cohesive they were in matching their styles with each other and everything like that. So they did a killer job. I'm super impressed with how far they got. Ava especially, I'm gonna give her a huge shout out because I mean the fact that she's 18 now, but she was 17 at the time that she did the tattoo, and a project like this, like that's incredible. You know, Mitch and Buck have been around a while and they've seen some things. Obviously this is their first time doing this, but for Ava to be involved in this and do what she did, I just want to give her props.
I've been tattooing for 2 years. Before that, I was drawing. I started doing that around 13, learned how to do realism. Kept on doing that for a couple of years. Once I turned 16, then that's when I really started to get into tattooing and learning how all of this works.
Watching her art grow is just been so amazing. So working with her is actually my favorite part about this.
I feel like I've always been her biggest supporter.
To see what she's going to progress to in the next 5 to 10 years and have this on me as early as I do by her, I think that that's a really cool aspect. So that's also one of my favorite parts for sure.
It was pretty crazy to just watch the whole anesthesia process go on. It was very interesting to be able to see like how all of that works. Even just the process of tattooing someone under anesthesia is just completely different. Him just not having to take any breaks or anything like that, and the fact that he's just simply laying down the entire time. It was like I was just drawing instead of actually tattooing a living person.
It was like tattooing a couch. It made me realize how much our clients do the smallest little movements that just you have to work with constantly. They'll scratch their face, talk with their hands a little bit, just like this. Going 6 solid hours without an ounce of movement was probably one of the coolest things.
Absolutely the easiest, most productive tattoo experience I've ever had by a landslide.
I would do this for every tattoo.
I have tried looking into my butt crack to see how far it goes, and I can't spread them wide enough to see for myself. For all I know, my butthole is completely blacked out at this point.
Of the 2 male adults, we put her on getting into his butt crack.
No clean skin spared.
No.
That was my request. When I was going into it, I remember talking to Buck and saying, hey, I just want to make sure that as I'm standing there, you cannot see any skin within my butt crack, and they did not joke around about that.
I'm pretty sure he could like bend over and tie his shoelaces, and if you're behind him, you're not gonna see any white. Like it is black.
People definitely told me that I was walking weird for 2 weeks. Like.
So as far as the earning your tattoos aspect, there's been a pretty obvious dividing line among tattooers since even numbing creams started to hit the shelves a few years back. You've got, you know, a group of people that are very much all for the progress and the evolution. Let's see where this goes, what this turns into. And then of course there's the other side that's just like, this is bullshit, it's cheating. And I definitely absolutely do understand where some people are coming from when they're saying, this is cheating. It doesn't feel like they're really toughing the pain out and like earning this tattoo.
I don't feel there's anything to earn with a tattoo. To me, that's dumb as shit.
People say that you need to earn the pain of a tattoo, and I just think that's bullshit, honestly. Like, I've done it. I mean, I had half of my back tattooed, and I got it removed because it wasn't exactly what I wanted. You know, I've got my chest, I've got legs, a full left sleeve, I've got some on my arm, so I've gone through the pain. I've earned my tattoos, so at this point, fuck earning it. Like, if you want to go under, and that's all I can say.
Had I had the option and the industry was the way it was, and I had access to anesthesia, numbing cream 18 years ago, fuck yeah, I would have taken it.
Like the thought of not having to endure the pain, but being able to have the beautiful art or the meaningful piece is really cool. I respect the pain, and it oftentimes becomes cathartic, but the art is on your body forever, and it speaks for itself. If you think of everything that Chase went through prior to having this done.
He's earning it in a very different way. He's taking it from a standpoint of putting himself in such an unbelievably vulnerable position. As far as like the controversy within our community towards this, realistically, our industry has evolved an enormous amount over the last decade. I mean, it's not even recognizable from what it was.
This shit wouldn't have flown 18 years ago. I have no desire to hold on to tradition or the past in any way. I only want to be as efficient for myself and my client as much as possible. This was amazing. It was great for me, it was great for the client, it was great for everybody.
Like every other industry out there, things change, and a lot of people are gonna really love that change, and a lot of people are just simply not gonna wanna see that change. I definitely don't view this as anything other than a new tool for our industry to use. I think when iPads first came out, and everybody out there shit on iPads, it's somehow inherently not real tattooing, but it was the same argument when rotaries came out and the coil crowd went crazy. Then it's the same thing when the cartridges came out and the needle bar crowd went crazy. Every time a new tool comes out in this industry, it's always met with a ton of negativity right out of the gate, because at the end of the day, it's popular to complain. And the internet is built for those complaints. Over time, all of these things become accepted, all of them become implemented. You don't hear anybody bitching about like iPads being used. Everyone uses them, even the old school dudes. You don't hear anybody bitching about rotaries anymore, or cartridges. You hear very few people bitching about numbing creams, because now the thing to bitch about is anesthesia.
I think people that choose to have anesthesia are interested in getting their project done faster. In the long run, I think it actually saves them a little bit of money, because they don't have to come in 8 times over the course of a year and a half before their project resembles anything close to what their goal is.
In 2 sessions, we did a piece from his lower butt to his upper back.
The amount of groundwork that it took out by going under 2 times, I mean, that alone is worth it.
Getting so much done in such a little period of time, that is one of the most amazing things.
If you have the dollar to pay, then that in and of itself, you're earning it right there.
This isn't right or wrong, just like numbing creams were not right or wrong. Maybe they're right for you, maybe they're wrong for the next person, but each person, both artist and client, has to make that decision for themselves. And for some people, being fully anesthetized is not the answer.
Obviously, this is not going to be for everybody. There is controversy within the industry, and some people may not find that it is the best fit for them, and in that case, stay away from it. But
at the end of the day, if you as an artist don't feel like this caters to the way that you tattoo, or your ethics or professionalism or whatever, don't use it. And if you as an artist do feel like this is something you want to explore, we can tell you, it's awesome. Use it. It's a tool. And that tool isn't going to make you a better tattooer. This tool isn't going to make the outcome of the final piece any better. This is just simply a tool that enables you to knock out huge projects in a very short amount of time with little to no real discomfort to the client. It's tattooing. I love tattooing. It doesn't really matter what aspect of tattooing I'm talking about, whatever its next state of evolution is. I'm just gonna roll with it and just enjoy the fact that I'm fortunate enough to be a part of this amazing industry and do something that fulfills me as much as this does on a daily basis. So at the end of the day, I'm just grateful as hell to be a part of this.